We have with us one man who always happens to be a mover and shaker, and the fact that I'm talking to him for some time before the start of the interview, and I'm absolutely mesmerized by the way he talks. His vocabulary is brilliant, and the way he talks is like absolutely mesmerizing. Shekhar Suman sahab, pleasure having you back on Borrowed Hungama.
Thank you so much for having me.
And sir, ये जो आपकी जवानी का राज है, please, a lot of people they're watching you live on Facebook.
It's all digital.
So
I think positivity. That's it.
Right.
I think you know life is a constant endeavor. It's a constant struggle, and you have to just keep moving on and on.
Absolutely.
Whether it's your work, whether it's your life, whether they are relationships or your body, your mind, soul, anything.
Right.
You have to just keep going on.
Okay, and now Mr. Shekhar Suman is doing this film called Pattharbaz, which is a very, very interesting subject because he's walking, as he himself told me a short while back, he's walking a tightrope because it's about the stone pelters in Kashmir, and anyone who knows the subject, there are many viewpoints to that. There are the villains, these are the paid stone pelters, all sorts of just news keeps on circulating. Many times it is fake news as well, because that's something which has become rampant in today's day and age. So how do you look at it? How do you look at it? Because it's a very either ways you'll be judged.
I think this is going to be an attempt to look at it. I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm not taking any stance. So I think while the story progresses and when I speak to varied people, a final standpoint will emerge. So right now I don't want to just either look at it from the stone pelters point of view, or from the so-called Indian point of view, or the international point of view, or any other point of view. I think the only viewpoint that I want to take is a human viewpoint.
Absolutely.
Or a humane viewpoint. Not so much the political connotation of the entire thing, but set in a socio-political environment, I guess that it needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
And this is something that has been gnawing at my heart, and I've been wanting to touch upon this subject for a very long time. And every time I watched it on TV, and I saw this bunch of stone pelters, and I wonder why there was a bunch of insurgent lot. Why they appeared anti-national, why would they insist on being so un-Indian, why would they not accept the fact they are part of our country, and why were they so different from others, and what do they want? And there has to be reason behind every problem.
Gee.
So we have to take a human angle and probe that as well, because we tend to believe what history teaches us. We tend to believe what TV tells us, or the newspaper's editorial, which can be skewed, which can be twisted, which can be colored. So I want it to see it from a very individual viewpoint and unravel those layers. There are many layers. There are wheels within wheels, and there are always two sides to a story.
Absolutely.
So which story do you want to believe, and why? Is there a problem? And if there is a problem, is there a solution? If there is a solution, why are we not moving towards it? So what is the final destination? What would happen? Would it be solved ever, or will this go on perennially? All these questions. Now the stone pelters obviously have many reasons to be the way they are. And when they are agitating for an Azad Kashmir.
Right.
Now Azadi means different things to different people, and within the echelon also there are some who want an independent country, Kashmir. This, for them, Azadi means demilitarization of the valley. There are some who want to go to Pakistan, and there are some who want the state to be autonomous, which they don't want any meddling from the center. Some of them could be like Che Guevara, become like the poster boys, revolutionary boys, who are actually wanting to fight for independence, and they sincerely believe in that, and they feel they are very patriotic about that. There is a ilk within that which is driven by economic necessity. You'll give them 500 bucks, they'll go pelt stones.
Right.
Some probably be doing out of just fun. You know, I think it's a very dumb thing that, you know, everybody is doing it, so let's join.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
The other reason could be that the neighboring country could be sending their stone pelters, giving the actual people a bad name, you know, because who have a reason. But these guys are mercenaries who are inducted or drafted into this whole business of stone pelting. So there are many reasons why what is happening. Where it, you know, even if you take a Burhan Wani case, where he became a poster boy, and through the social media he became a hero. So the people who became stone pelters had a very romantic notion of azadi. When they are saying azadi hum छीन के लेंगे, आज़ाद तो आप हैं already. You are already independent. So what azadi are we talking about? And the story goes way back in 1947 when the partition happened, when Nehru ji finally, I think it was Hari Singh the King,
right,
who wanted to stay neutral, and then finally he joined India, and then Nehru
after the Pakistani incursion.
Yes, absolutely.
Tribal incursion.
Yes, that was just right after the independence.
Yes, 47, 48.
And then Nehru ji promised a plebiscite, a referendum which never happened. So that they felt was the first act of betrayal. So the many stories, and Sheikh Abdullah, Kashmiri Pandits, Article 370, and a whole lot of things just been many
flags.
But as I said, there are many political, social reasons, but I want to take a very human angle to it. And I want to actually hear their side of the story as well.
Absolutely. So the interesting part is that, as you mentioned about that, some of them, they do it out of the romantic idea of just being, because the fact is that in 90s when the entire insurgency and the terrorism was at its height, many teenagers, many teenage Kashmiris, they joined just because of the fact that it was fascinating. It was very interesting that their elder brothers are having Kalashnikovs, and then they went to Pakistan. But the fact is that they also realized in the early 2000s that the promises that were made to them, they were all fake. They did not get, there were huge tortures that took place.
Correct.
And they did not get any sort of relief from their own people actually. And quite a lot of time of 2010 till that was. So if you notice that the entire thing had reduced by a big margin. It is only in the last few years that this entire thing has risen by many folds. If you see the statistics, it has risen from 11% to almost 80%.
Yes.
So the fact is that even these stone pelters, they have become dormant. So maybe the fact that they're coming back once again, there may be some reason for that as well.
There are little kids who are talking about going to Pakistan, referring to you as like you Indians, you have come here, or talking about the atrocities committed by the Indians, by the Indian military force and the police personnel, etc. Everything. They have a story to tell. I don't know where they have picked up these stories because they are far too young to understand what's going on. So obviously they have been told by their parents or their grandparents or ancestors. It's passed on. But there is a problem. Somewhere there is a problem. They don't feel that they are loved, they are accepted by the Indians. They feel alienated emotionally, physically, otherwise. And which is why they just want to wean away or wean themselves away. I wish I could go and speak to all of them. I probably would be making efforts to talk to all these people, people who have died, speak to their parents, speak to their brothers, friends, exactly. Like Burhan Wani, his father, I think, was a teacher or a principal, and he wanted to be an engineer or some such. And that his brother was picked up, and they always have stories to say that how they were randomly picked up and tortured, and that's why he picked up the gun, right? But the others he had at least had a reason, but the others who have followed him blindly, they didn't know exactly what azadi means and what they are asking for. So they ended up either losing their eyes or limbs or dying, and this has gone into a loop. And I want to probably convey this through my film, is that at the end of the day, violence probably serves no purpose. No matter what you do, violence is not the answer. So then what is the answer? And why are we not able to to attain that or derive something which is more positive. Where is the problem and who's creating a problem? And I wish to just give a story from either sides, or as many sides there are to the story, and then let people decide collectively or individually what should be done about it. And I think every individual effort would probably make a difference to the problem there is.
Right. As you mentioned about the entire, I think you were also talking about the pellet guns in a way, and
yes,
how 12-year-old kids they have died because of that as well, or maybe they've lost their eyesight. So now it's a very, very contentious topic in the day and age that we live in. You've experienced that yourself with the entire Padmavati episode that you had, and people came to your house to protest, and it was a bizarre experience. I'm sure that must have been for you as well. And that when you're making a film which is called Pattharbaz, it is on Stoll Penter, and you talk about this humane part. आज के टाइम पे humanity तो यही हो गया ना कि that आप anti-national हो गए. मतलब आज के टाइम पे humanity is being equated the moment you try to take the part, try to empathize with the people who are dying, that becomes that you're being anti-Indian.
Yes.
It'll also be said that you've been a Congress sympathizer, Congress supporter. You've contested election as well on a Congress ticket. And even though people don't realize, but the fact is that a lot of Kashmiris, they have many issues with Congress as well, because their own people, they've been
I was with the Congress for a year, and I was disillusioned and I left Congress. So I'm completely apolitical. I have no political connection, nothing.
Right.
I mean, I was drafted into politics. I was literally pushed into it, and sometimes you're so badly emotionally cornered, there is just no way out except to just say yes and try it out. I did that. Okay, I've done my bit and I'm out of it. As a filmmaker, I think you have to be completely apolitical and without any agenda. You're there as an emotional person, as a creative guy, and you see things differently. So I want to make it very clear, I'm not taking sides. I'm not empathizing or sympathizing with anybody. I'm just a storyteller. I'm going to tell you a story. You take sides or don't take sides. Find a solution, and let's move towards the solution, because Kashmiris are Indians, and we love them as much as we love each other. They don't need to feel alienated. And I think that can be said through the film, that Kashmir belongs to us, and Kashmiris belong to us more than anyone else, and we care for them. And it's sad that we have to refer to Kashmiris as them. It has to be like us. It's like we, the people.
So as you were talking, that Kashmir is such a complex subject. It is such an intricate subject, because the fact is that if you look at history, then the fact is that it is Kashmiri Pandits who are the original inhabitants.
Yes.
And if you look at the entire history, they've been like a glorious part of, as far as Kashmir, especially Valley, is concerned. Maybe not Jammu that much, but Valley for that matter. They were the ones who जो कश्मीरियत जिसको कहते हैं, या फिर एक जो ट्रेडिशन बना है, वो सारा का सारा जो है वो that has come from Kashmiri Pandits. So obviously when you're talking about Azadi part, you cannot just not include the Kashmiri Pandits. That is a very, very given part. Anyway, people.
If I had to reverse the role, and if I had to ask you a question, what do you think about this Azadi, and how do you view this this problem? What would be your answer? What would you say?
So I would say that I've been to Kashmir twice in the last 3 years.
Okay.
I felt around 3-4 years, I've been there twice at least. So I noticed that the situation has improved dramatically.
It has.
It was, I felt that it was, I went to Pahalgam, I was in Srinagar. I felt that it was, the situation was really good. People were happy with the fact that tourists are coming in and everything. But the fact is that after
the media has created,
yeah,
or painted such a picture that people actually think there is a war going on the streets.
It's not.
There's skirmishes, and and the people are killing each other, and they're out with guns.
It is not.
I mean, there are sporadic incidents, yes, but they're always sort of blown out of proportion.
Absolutely.
And it's politicized.
Absolutely. There is absolutely. But the fact is that since the time that we were there, like say in the last 3-4 years, things changed after Burhan Wani, and it became obviously there were many more things started happening, which was interesting. In fact, I spoke to soldiers as well, and I realized that they're just doing their job. They're being paid for it, and they said that we're just doing our job. So it is a very complex thing. So the idea is that when we're living in a day and age when, in spite of being reasonable, in spite of being rational and taking every angle. When you can have like a Marcel, which is right now having tough time because there's a mention of GST and Digital India. There was a mention of Digital India in Toilet Ek Prem Katha as well, by the way, where Bhumi says, but that was maybe not noticed. So they're having a tough time. You are taking like a big thing actually. So it's not because Kashmir, the moment you say that you're taking
Kashmir, there is problem.
अगर आप दूध मांगोगे तो खीर देंगे, कश्मीर मांगोगे तो चीड़ दोगे, जब तक आप वो नहीं कह रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये है कि दैट
नहीं, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि मंशा आपकी उकसाने की नहीं होनी चाहिए।
जीवीएल नरसिम्हा राव तो कहते हैं कि फिल्म वालों की आईक्यू ऐसे भी लोग
वो रियलाइज नहीं करते कि उनकी पार्टी में लोग जो हैं स्मृति ईरानी से लेकर शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा से लेकर हेमा मालिनी, विनोद खन्ना, ऑल ऑफ देम आर एक्टर्स। ही इज एक्चुअली deprecating them, deriding them, disrespecting them, belittling them, berating them, whatever you say. He doesn't. I'm so much for his IQ, so it's okay. It's all right. To each his own.
Yeah. Right. So what I'm trying to say is that if a mere mention of a GST and Digital India can get such sort of response, then you are playing with fire.
Unknowingly yes, unwittingly so yes, but that's not the intention to play with fire.
Right.
The thought behind is not to sensationalize it. The thought is not to create any problems, but to solve a problem there is. And I think as a filmmaker, I can solve it only through my film, through my work. The way, what I speak, what I write, the way I think, I can motivate a few people if I can. And that's the whole endeavor. Through this film that I shall be able to kind of tell people that it's not necessary to just always come out in the streets and kill each other to find a solution.
Right.
Because killing each other doesn't stop anyway. It's a endless process. And who stops first? You kill me, I have to avenge myself, I'll kill you.
Right.
Or kill someone close to you. Then you say, no, till I don't kill someone else, I'm not going to sit tight. And this goes on and for generations to come.
Absolutely.
So I guess that all of us who are in positions of power or responsibility should come out. You through your own medium, me through my own medium, people who can write, who can speak, who can motivate. We should all come out and say there has to be peace and harmony. There has to be brotherhood. There has to be camaraderie. There has to be a conducive atmosphere where everybody gets his due. So, as if people are going to instigate me, or if people are going to instigate each other, and I say, look, he's making a film in Kashmir and there's going to be a problem, then there will be a problem. And I have to say this and reiterate this again and again, that the film is done with a very, very noble intention. And the intention is to bring about peace in the valley. The intention is to tell that we are all brothers and we have to stay in an atmosphere of brotherhood and peace and harmony.
So as you were just mentioning about that Mr. Narasimha Rao's statement, and coming to that, like you experienced with the entire Padmavati episode, that you said something, and the way things were reacted.
I just sided with
your
Mr. Bhansali,
right.
And I thought the way people reacted and the way he was like dragged by his hair and beaten up, that was not good.
Absolutely,
that was not cool, as they say.
Absolutely, but sir, do you feel a bit? I'm sure that many people, they feel angry, but they don't talk about it.
Yes.
But the fact is that when you say that film people, anyways, they have low IQ, they should not be talking about political matters. And all sorts of things are said, but
that's an idiotic statement to make. To generalize everyone. I mean,
yeah.
You have politicians with very low IQ or no IQ at all.
Absolutely.
And in every sphere, in all walks of life, you have people who
right.
who are not there.
And then to say that film people, they should just do the song and dance and just entertain. They should not be having any political opinion. They should not be having any social
then why
opinion.
Did you allow somebody like Smriti Irani or Shatrughan Sinha or Vinod Khanna or Dharmendra or Hema Malini or anybody to join BJP and canvass for you and
right.
campaign for you? Why do you need them? And why do they become like cabinet ministers and hold positions of power, like Smriti Irani is the information broadcasting minister? Is Mr. Narasimha Rao trying to say that she has low IQ and she still holds a position of power, which is not quite correct?
Right.
So, he's just created a problem for himself. But all the top actors, as I said, I was telling you that not just in India, but even in America, Ronald Reagan was an actor. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. There was like NTR, MGM, like Chiranjeevi. You have Rajkumar. So many of them. There's so many actors. What are you talking about?
Absolutely. No, and apart from that, sir, does it bother you about the fact that when it is said that film stars they should not be having a political opinion?
Why not?
Like you enacted.
Everybody has a right to have a political opinion.
You've enacted Sahil Ludhianvi on
yes.
as far as
yes.
on stage is concerned, which is a wonderful play by Saif Hassan. He was a hugely political guy,
absolutely,
and his views.
Yeah.
If you look at 50s, 60s, what he said, even 70s for that matter, he's resonating with what India was going through.
Absolutely.
The social condition
yes.
of India and the condition of people. And Sahil Ludhianvi is just one example. There were many. Actually. There were many people. Be it Raj Kapoor sahab, be it so many.
Guru Dutt, Bimal Roy, all of them.
Bimal Roy, all of them. Like even Devanand in many
yes.
ways. He was Manoj Kumar. Manoj Kumar had his own point of view, and that was wonderful as well. Yeah. So all of them, they've had such wonderful things to say through their films, and to say that you guys are not supposed to say on social matters, and this is like.
I'm sorry, you're forced to talk to a guy who has low IQ.
No.
And every day you are made to talk to people who have low IQ because you talk to a lot of actors.
So what happens is that many times even we don't ask people, the film people, because they are scared to answer. There have been occasions when they have told us later, please wo nikal dena. Because, and simple things, we don't want any trouble for our movie.
Right.
And stuff like that. But someone like Prakash Raj, he manages to say what he wants to say. So I think South Indians, they Kamal Hassan says what he wants to say, and it makes a hell of sense.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think this. I have seen this side of India, where you just say anything or you're in trouble. I mean, you're speaking your mind out. You are saying it in the most civil manner, using parliamentary words, and still you are in trouble. There is some suit filed against you, or there is some case against you for just saying the most innocuous thing
absolutely
ever. So I mean, when it happened to Prakash, I was like completely taken aback and astounded. I said, for saying what? For the Prime Minister is a better actor, you will get into trouble? I mean, come on. No, that's really too much.
Someone like Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan, they have completely stopped. They just don't. They are remotely scared.
Yes.
To say almost anything controversial or contentious.
No, not at all. You can see that they are wanting to say,
but they can't.
And in front of the camera, you can see that they're dying to say, but they're not willing to say. Something is stopping them, because they both got into massive problems. And for saying nothing. I mean, we're just speaking. I mean, the best part about democracy is that everybody is entitled to their opinion.
Right.
It may be ridiculous, or it may be, unwarranted, but everybody is entitled to their opinion. If I watch a film, or I watch any politician for that matter, and I said, I don't like this guy for his viewpoints, and in the manner that he speaks, or the way he conducts him, I don't like him. Are you going to jail me for that? Are you going to put me behind bars for that?
Yeah, that's true.
No. And then the other person has the temerity to say that, come on, have a sense of humor and take things in your stride. That's a big joke.
That is true. In US, for that matter, anyone can say what they want to say about Trump, and
yes.
They, in spite of, I think what he has
all
done
the comedy
in terms
shows
of the tweets
in America are having a ball of a time.
They are having a great time. You would have loved to have a movers and shakers in America right now. In fact, you were mentioning something about Atal Bihari Vajpayee Saab coming to you once.
Yes. I mean, those were the days, and not so long ago, when I was doing movers and shakers. And people used to wonder that time when I had begun. He says, "You think Shekhar, this kind of show would be allowed?" And then you're talking so openly. And I said, I'm just being very democratic about it. I mean, I'm just voicing. You think about me as a person or a people's representative, and I'm just talking what's going on in your mind. I'm just representing that. I mean, so many times when I did say a thing, people said, I mean, I was thinking like that. I wish I had said that, something like that. But there was never any complaint. There was never any allegation. There was never any problem that was created by anyone. everybody took it with a pinch of salt
Yeah.
and a sense of humor, because they also realized that I didn't have an agenda. Nobody has an agenda. And I remember that I had gone to, and I was speaking a lot about the PM, and everybody used to say, you'll get into some sort of problem one day. And I said, if I know him, he's a great statesman, he's a poet, you know, I can read the person. This would never happen. And I had gone to attend a big industrialist son's marriage, and I found out that Mr. Vajpayee had come there, Vajpayee ji wahan par aaye hue the, and I expressed my desire to meet him, but by the time I reached the venue, he had already sat in the car, and the car had moved, the whole platoon and the cavalcade started moving. I stood next to Chhagan Bhujbal ji, who was standing there, and I thought that while he would be you know, moving on, he would look at Chhagan ji to say his final goodbye, and I would stand there and I will say my pranam and namaste, whatever. And it happened exactly like that. And the car came close to Chhagan Bhujbal ji, and suddenly the car stopped, and there was a pandemonium. I mean, you have to be, you know, this is too good to be true, and this is an absolutely unbelievable thing that happened. And everybody was like, you know, ran helter-skelter to find out why the PM had stopped the car. The door of the car opens, the PM steps out, he had knee problem. And I was standing about 15 feet away, and I thought probably he wanted to come and say, shake hands with Mr. Bhujbal, or for any other reason that he had gotten out. Least of all what happened later. And he walked, and he walked toward me, and I said, oh my God. And he came and he hugged me, patted me on my cheek. He said, you're wonderful. You're one of the finest talents the country has seen. And I was amazed at what he said. He said, whenever you take off on me, you have a joke on me or anything, I laugh the loudest. And I record your show every day, and I watch it. That was the Prime Minister.
Absolutely.
I don't know what happened and what went wrong, but I don't think that I probably will be able to do something similar today. People ask me questions, why aren't you doing more than Shakers? And probably they should know the answer. I don't need to tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the best part was that it was, apart from the humor part of it, there was a telling comment that you were making.
Yes.
There was satire. Yes. There was undercurrent.
Was satire. There was an undercurrent.
There
was an attempt to shake up people and shake up the system and tell them something. That it's enough. You need to do something about this.
Absolutely.
Always. So it was not just humor and satire. There was something beyond that as well.
100%. 100%. Yes. There was. Even like you spoke about the Chara and the Laluji and everything, but I think Laluji was very fond of you.
Yes, yes. And you would be fond of me if I was talking about you for 7 days a week. I mean, you know, everybody said he will probably take umbrage to what you are saying. And when he met me, he said, you know, you talk about me every day. That's the best thing you do.
He's a very smart guy. He's a very smart guy. He's a really.
He was amazing. He said, any publicity is good publicity. He said that. And he said, yes, sab baklol hai. Tum sahi hai.
We have a segment. We are considering that you have this wonderful thing that you did on Movers and Shakers. So we have a few celebrities, and if you can possibly imitate them, maybe in your own style. If you want to say some matters. Say, for example, if you have to say about what Mr. Nana Patekar would have to say maybe on Notebandi.
I'm not too good at imitating. And
what do you feel like?
But I think Nana Patekar would probably have a very sinister laugh,
right,
which he's known for. And that would be entirely incumbent upon the people to interpret that, whether he's making fun of it or he's acceptable. I mean, whether he's accepted the demonetization bit or not.
Okay, all right. And so if you have to say something, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Saab, maybe on the success of Golmaal again, maybe if Atal ji has to say something on that, what would that be?
Ye achhi baat hai. Which I never said. I mean, every time I imitated Atal ji, it was always the end line would be achhi baat nahi hai. But I think this probably he'll make an exception about Golmaal, because Golmaal has been a continual success, and I think probably he's changed the tagline and he would say, ye achhi baat hai.
Right. Okay, and if you have to say something about लालू यादव जी.
I'm very bad at it and I don't want to do it and I used to do it only
Sir,
for my
that
show.
हम लोग तो रोज देखते थे वो.
Yes, yes. A lot of people would come and ask me, "Yeah, आप क्यों करते हैं ऐसे?" So I said, आप बताइए क्यों करते हैं? क्यों करते हैं ऐसा?
बाल.
यार मैंने कहा उनके बाल आगे हैं हाँ और कान से भी बाल निकलते हैं इसलिए I used to do that.
That was damn funny actually. So if anything on Laluji that you would like to share with us, sir.
No, I was sharing this with you when, like, as I said, when I met him for the first time, and he said, he hugged me hard. Then I said, "आप नाराज तो नहीं है लालू जी?" नाराज तो हमारा बारे में 7 दिन बोलता है और तुमको बता दें कि एनी पब्लिसिटी इज गुड पब्लिसिटी। ये सब जो बोलता है ना सब बड़बक है, इसको तुम बोलता रहे।
Okay, sir, and if you have to say Navjot Singh Sidhu on high level of smog in Delhi after Diwali,
probably will send सबको हटा दो गुरु खटाक।
Actually, we have more, but
No,
these days let's not.
I think that there would be someone else more proficient than me who imitates. I mean, if you ask me to comment on them, I would probably be able to have a line on them, definitely. But imitating them is not my cup of tea. Something that even when I used to do Mood and Shaker, then I used to come out and ask people, say, "Can you imitate this one?" I said, "Do you understand that when I am on the shop floor and I'm doing this, just to make it lighter, because politically it can get very heavy, I play out those characters as an actor. It helps me that I don't mimic them, I impersonate them. Right. I become the character. Like as an actor, if I have to play a blind person, I would probably notice the idiosyncrasies and the behavior of the way a blind man walks or talks.
Sure.
And then I would like to portray it much the same way. Similarly, as the characters that I talked about could be very dull and could be boring, and so that's why I used to always enact them. But beyond that, it would be, I'll be a disaster if somebody asked me that you have to kind of imitate them. And even if I was in the loo and I was peeing, there was the man who would be standing next to me getting, "Lalu karke dikhaiye na." And I said, "I'm peeing, I can't put my hand up and do that."
No, but frankly, like, we used to watch it every day. I still remember I was in Delhi at that point of time, like, say, and we were used to watch it every day actually. So we'll end the interview with a rapid fire. That I think you'll be enjoying it. So rapid fire with Shekhar Suman on public demand. When are we seeing Dekh Bhai Dekh again?
Soon. I think there have been many attempts by Anand Mahendra to kind of revive it. But knowing Anand Mahendra and the way he is, it will probably take a couple of years. But we are just keeping our fingers crossed and I hope that it happens soon.
All right, one advice to someone you love.
Someone I love?
Yeah.
Don't expect anything in return. Love means just giving and not expecting anything in return.
All right, so who's the funniest person that you know?
Omar Sharif.
The Pakistani?
Yes.
I think he's ready.
He's amazing. And a couple of other guys also are very funny. I don't know the name, but they are on YouTube. I watch them.
Yeah.
They are very funny. They're very funny. But this guy, obviously.
I was watching Bakra Khiston pe.
Oh my God.
It's like,
मैं
भूल गया था मैं भूलने की बारी मैं अपनी वाइफ को लेकर गया
and he saw
बहस को लेकर चला गया.
He sees a politician and he's wearing that khadi cap. So he walks up to him and says, "Janab, आप ये बताएंगे कि ये जहाज खुशकी में भी चलता है?" He had tremendous sense of humor.
जहाज
खुशकी में भी चलता है. I mean, only he could think of lines like that. Amazing, absolutely original.
And very impromptu, very impromptu.
Right there.
So the most absurd headline that you've read about yourself?
Oh, there are many, but the one that I read in a Hindi magazine, where I had actually, people were interviewing me about Utsav and stuff like that, and how was it to work with Rekha. So I said it was just a very professional thing. Why do people keep saying कि रेखा के साथ बहुत मजा आया होगा रेखा के साथ? And the next thing I know, they had taken out that bit and said रेखा के साथ बहुत मजा आया. So I said, I never said that. It's only when you read that that you realize that I'm saying, why do people say, don't they have any other thing to ask? So that's the most ridiculous, I'm sure. Like, she must have been offended if she just read the headlines.
Absolutely. Okay, who do you enjoy mimicking, impersonating the most?
My father.
Oh.
I grew up imitating my father.
Movie that made you cry.
Anand. The whole emotion of a person who's dying and making people laugh is something that, you know, that's what tragic comedy is all about, and that really made me cry. And especially the last line that comes when the tape finishes, and the line comes, it says, Anand mara nahi, Anand marte nahi.
क्या बात है?
And I think that line has stayed with me. And also the line where Rajesh Khanna, you know, when his sister ties a rakhi on him, and then he goes behind the pillar and he says, "ये भी तो नहीं कह सकता बहन कि मेरी उम्र तुमको लग जाए," because he was dying.
बहुत touching.
I think that was very, very touching. Very
Rajesh Khanna, I think one of his
finest.
finest. Rajesh Khanna's finest work.
The finest performance, the finest film that I've seen.
Absolutely. He was on another level altogether. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Weirdest compliment that you've received from your fan?
Let me think. And define weird.
Weird in the sense it can be like almost anything that मैं आपके बच्चे की माँ बनने वाली हूँ.
Oh.
Something like that. It can be like anything actually.
I wish there was somebody who told me that. नहीं पर है, पर वो unprintable है. But ऐसे बहुत idiotic comments आते रहते हैं. Definitely कि आप मेरे सपने में आके आप मैंने देखा कि आप ये कर रहे थे वो कर रहे थे. Not sexually but otherwise also, but something idiotic.
Right.
हाँ वैसे आके मिलते हैं या कोई कभी एयरपोर्ट पे पैरों पे आके गिर के तो नहीं छोड़ूंगा सर जब तक आप मुझे अपने साथ नहीं ले जाएंगे, काइंड ऑफ थिंग. और हस्बैंड जब कहते हैं अरे मतलब हाथ नहीं पकड़िए जरा चूमिए भी साइड में, अपने वाइफ के लिए कह रहे हैं, तो मैंने कहा भाई आपकी वाइफ है, मैं क्या चूमूं. तो आई फाइंड ऑल दिस थिंग वेरी वियर्ड.
So how many of the industry rumors that we hear are true?
Well, they say there's never a smoke without fire, but there's sometimes very little smoke and a lot of fire. But I have known of rumors which have been completely untrue. So I would probably rate it at like 50-50.
Okay, so and if you can just give one word for following people who have excelled as far as in comic performances is concerned, Johnny Walker Saab.
What about him?
If you can just maybe define him in one word.
I think inimitable.
Right.
Amazing. I think he had a very distinct voice, and every time he said, yeah, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Which was so him,
yeah.
Johnny Walker Saab. And I think he was a very distinguished comic.
Absolutely.
You know, there was never any attempt to make you laugh. You know, there's always an attempt, I'm going to make you laugh with my punchline. I think I never saw him to forcibly, you know, evoke a laughter out of you. He was a natural. Two people, which I think, or three. There was like Johnny Walker Saab, there was Deven Verma, and there was Ayya Jawar.
I was coming to that Deven Verma shortly.
And then, so they believed in very, very subtle, underplayed, subdued humor, which is what I like, which is the way I like it.
Right.
Bachchan Saab done that in many movies, and I liked his sense of humor, and I like his timing. He's very good.
Absolutely. Mahmood Saab.
Mahmood Saab was like a total freak. He was like, you know, he went all out. He played to the gallery. He made you cry. He sang. He was a singer. He wrote films. He directed. I think he was a great craftsman. I think he was unique in his space.
Rajendra Nath.
Rajendra Nath, a lot of people felt that he indulged in a lot of buffoonery and you know, all kinds of funny things he used to do. But again, he was unique because that kind of exaggerated comedy was not there. I mean, you had the likes of Mukri and you had Dhumal Saab and all of them, but Rajendra Nath was animated and overly excited and highly exaggerated. But that worked. I mean, I remember seeing him in a film called Jab Pyar Kisi Se Hota Hai, where he dressed up as a woman trying to sell hammam sabun se hi nahata hai koi. I remember that scene. And he suddenly broke into a freak dance. Only Rajendra Nath could get away with that. He got away with Blue Murder. But as I said, these guys always had they had their unique space. Rajendra Nath was diametrically opposite to Johnny Walker Saab.
Fantastic. So we can keep on talking, I think, for forever because there's so much to talk about. with Shekhar ji, be it current affairs, be it movies, be it anything actually. So
yeah, we'll one day sit and just talk about
we should.
movies
Yeah,
and
we should.
performances and actors
We
and
should.
directors. You know, people. You know, I mean, the kind of films that Guru Dutt Saab made.
Right.
And जिस तरह की नज़में साहिर साहब ने लिखी उनकी फिल्मों के लिए.
Absolutely.
Where he says, and it's so true to today's times when he says, जला दो इसे, फूंक डालो ये दुनिया, मेरे सामने से हटा लो ये दुनिया, तुम्हारी है, तुम ही संभालो ये दुनिया अगर मिल भी जाए तो क्या है?
क्या बात है, वाह वाह. Fantastic. So it was lovely having you, and looking forward to Pattharbaz. I think I hope that you managed to show it the way you want to show it, because that's, I think, extremely important, and I hope that it is received in the way that the intentions are. And,
I hope so. Yes.
Looking forward to everything else that you're doing very shortly, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.